Hey everybody, Tex-Mex here. Thanks for joining me for another video. Today I'm going to take a look at a cleaning product. It's not something I typically do in my videos, but I had been contacted by Professor Pew. I don't know if it was not the professor himself. This guy didn't call me. But either the company or the marketing department sent me an email. It was a really short email saying, hey, we'd like to send you a bottle of our product so you could check it out. And I said, yeah, sure, send it over. So they are not a sponsor. Trust me, my channel has absolutely no sponsors, and that's fine. But I did get this bottle for free, so I wanted to certainly say that on the video so you knew that. That being said, it's certainly not going to affect any review I give on this product. So it is a CLP. It's, let's see here, it's made in the USA. It's a one-step clean, lubricate, and protect, Professor Pew CLP. Says it protects against rust and corrosion, removes plastic wad, lead, and powder fouling, and it's safe to use on all factory finishes. Interesting. And there's a little information here on the back, and since my aging eyes are hurting me right now, let's see here. Professor Pew CLP is a high-quality, one-step cleanser, lubricant, and rust preventative agent for all aspects of your firearms. It is effective in removing oils, dirt, copper, lead, and other contaminants. It provides a thin, non-greasy coating that prevents rust and lubricates all moving parts of firearms. It is not recommended for painted surfaces. Okay, interesting. And down here, it's got this little marks. I believe it means it's not flammable. Let's see here. This says plant-based. Ooh, God, my eyes really are bad. Oh, it just says plant-based as well on the bottom. Okay, so it's plant-based and military grade. Interesting. Okay. BravoBelt.com. Made in the USA. Interesting. So I'm going to try this out. I usually keep most of my firearms clean, and I haven't shot one in a couple of weeks because I've been stuck working very, very hard. But I do have this pistol here that is my garage gun. And for those of you maybe that don't live in the USA, say, do you crazy Texans need a garage gun? And the answer is yes, yes, we do. So because this is a garage gun, I do keep it in a locked container. However, it is not sealed. It's not a sealed container, so humidity can get in there, and obviously there's temperature changes. And this is an old Taurus that I got that, you know, it was actually given to me, so I don't value it a whole lot, but it works fine. I've tested it, I've taken it and put a bunch of magazines through it. But it has rusted up a little bit, and you can see right here on the chamber for the barrel that there's a little bit of rust on there. I'm not sure you can make it out on the GoPro. And there has been a little rust on the frame. I even considered refinishing it, but it's such an inexpensive firearm. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to keep it and wait until it gets seriously rusted, and then at that point I'll decide what to do. But I've used different lubricants and other CLP types to, you know, keep it lubed up to keep it from rusting. And they usually work relatively well, but after a while the lubricant either starts to evaporate or come off, and it will start to rust up a little bit, and I'll have to clean it off. So today we're going to use Professor Pew and see how well it does cleaning this firearm. So let's go ahead and start here. It does have instructions, so let's read the instructions. Once again, let me get my eyes on here. Say shake well. Okay, done. Next instruction, apply liberal coating, let me try that again. Apply liberal coating to all surfaces of your firearm. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Okay, done. Next instruction. Let's see. Apply liberal coating all surfaces, both inside and out. Oh, okay. Okay, done. Next step, let's see here. Pass a saturated patch through the bore of the firearm and allow 2 to 5 minutes for Professor Pew CLP to break down any contaminants. Okay, well, let's do that. And so far, Professor Pew does have a nice gun oily scent to it. I kind of like the smell of gun oil, so I don't mind any strong scents. It's not a very strong scent, and it's nice. It's nice. I actually kind of enjoy it. Not enough to wear as cologne, but, you know, maybe someday. So we got our saturated patch, and we have pushed it through. And now we will give it, what was it? 2 to 5 minutes for the contaminants to start to break down. Okay, next step here, use bore brush as necessary. Nah. And finally, let's see here, and follow up with clean patches. So no dirty patches, only clean patches. Let's do that. Let's push some clean patches through. There we go. Does seem to be getting a lot of the stuff off. So let me push a few more patches through till they come out clean. Okay, patches are coming out clean, so there we go. And I've gone ahead and rubbed down the rest of the firearm with the CLP. It seems to be working relatively well. I do have those little bit of rust spots on here, so I'm going to put some more CLP on it. I'm gonna rub this down, see if I can get those rust spots to come off. It's not a terribly viscous CLP. It is liquidy, which I kind of like. I think, especially if I'm using it on a AR-15 bolt or something of that sort. I don't like the thicker type lubes. I do prefer these. I guess the problem with these is they can kind of come off after a while, or they can dry out. But as long as you keep applying it, it seems to work okay. So I'm going to let this sit on there for a few minutes just to make sure it's got time to eat up the rust, and then we'll see about cleaning it off. Okay, it's actually done a pretty good job at getting that rust off. I mean, to really finish it off, I'd have to get some very fine steel wool and rub it down. But all in all, it actually looks like it's taken it off of there. Now the last part that's got a little bit of rust on it, well, it keeps developing rust, is the slide. I just, keeping it out here in the garage and the humidity and the temperature changes, it's gonna get some rust. But that's why I have this particular firearm out here, because I really don't care how much it rusts. So let me rub the slide. See, I have a white towel here. Rub the slide a little bit. You can see it's getting a little bit of rust off of there. So let me rub it down a little bit more. Okay, yeah, it's doing a good job. It seems to have cleaned this up real nice. Now, as you notice, I'm wearing gloves. I wear gloves anytime I clean firearms. I just, as much as I love the smell of gun oil, getting it off of your hands is such a pain, and I really don't want to deal with any potential chemicals and contaminants that, such as lead, that might get into my skin. So it's wise to always wear gloves. Now, Professor Pew, whoever their marketing director is, really needs a raise, because when I got the product, I jumped online and I started looking around, and I noticed there were a bunch of YouTube channels that just came up here recently also posting. So like, they contacted me, they must have contacted a handful of people, and everyone's making videos on their product. So it's a genius way to, get the name of your product out. And I did notice one of the individuals not using gloves, and they said, well, since it's all natural, it's plant-based, you don't need gloves. I'm going to respectfully disagree with that gentleman. I wear gloves. It's just, the gloves are around again. I know during the pandemic it was hard to find gloves, but they're on the shelves. Get some gloves, use them when you clean your guns. It's just the smart thing to do. So yeah, it's done a good job. Now the main test is going to be, I'm going to put this away. I'm going to make sure I'm going to leave a little bit of coating of the CLP on there, and see how well it holds up. So I may do a little follow-up here in a couple of months once the weather starts to cool off, and see if any rust has developed on the firearm. But so far, as far as being a cleaner and getting some rust off, it's done great. Hasn't seemed to have messed with the finish of this particular firearm. And it does seem to lubricate well. Like I said, it's not very viscous, but I like my lubricants not being way too viscous. I think they work a little bit better. So anyway, one more thing I'd like to try is I'm going to try cleaning a knife, one of my father's knives that I pulled out here recently, because it does have some corrosion on it. So let's see how this works on a knife. Now let's take a look at the knife I want to clean. This was my... It fell over there. So let's try that again. Let's take a look at this knife I want to clean. This was my father's. When my father passed over a decade ago, he had a shooting bag, well, a hunting bag and a fishing bag, and I just didn't have the heart of taking anything out of there. I kept them as is, the way he had them packed, and just kind of put them away. And one of the things he has in his hunting bag is his old Puma hunting knife, or it was basically one of the knives he'd used to skin deer with. And this is probably from the 80s. This is, the old, when Puma was king. I know there's a bunch of other, good knife manufacturers now, but back then, if you wanted a really good folding blade, you can do much better than getting a good Puma. And this is the 965 Puma Deer Hunter. It says new stainless super knife cutting steel. Handmade Germany. Well, little did they know back in the 80s how over the next few decades there would be many, many, many new super steels developed. So it's in good shape. It's actually still very, very sharp. Like I said, I just kind of left it in there because I didn't have the heart to start taking stuff out. But it has gotten a lot of corrosion here on the brass. So I'm going to see how Professor Pew does and see if we can clean these up and maybe also clean the snap up. It has a little bit of rust on the front, but the rest of this is just, yeah, it's residue of the corrosion coming off from the brass. So let's see how Professor Pew does cleaning up this knife. So I'm going to spray it down a bit in the spots that need the cleaning. And I'm going to give it a few minutes just to let the CLP do its thing and dissolve those contaminants as it says in its instructions. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that seemed to work very well. It got all that corrosion off of the brass. Now, it didn't polish it up, but to be fair, if you wanted to polish this brass up, you'd need to use some sort of a brass cleaner. But I don't want to do that because you can see it's got some patina on there, and that's patina that my father has put on this knife over years and years of him using it. So that's going to stay on there as is. But one thing I saw here that I'd forgotten is it has his initials on it. I'd completely forgotten about that. And I think part of that was the corrosion also covered it up. So that helped me see his initials on here again. And like I said, I'm just going to keep the patina as is. I just wanted to get some of that corrosion off, and it did a good job doing that. And also helped me clean up the sheath. It had some corrosion on the inside of the snaps and a little rust on the outside of this snap. And the CLP did clean it off. In fact, it helped me realize, because I didn't know what emblem this was on this because it had so much rust on one side. It's an R and it's sideways. I don't know, maybe this was a Remington brand. It doesn't have any other markings other than 45, which I'm sure is just the size or model of this particular sheath. But it cleaned out most of that corrosion. You can see a little bit there, and it's just darkening of the leather from the corrosion being on there for so long. But this is the sheath my father used, so it's the sheath that this knife is going to go back into. And now that it's got a little layer of CLP, that should help keep it protected. So Professor Pew, CLP, seemed to work well. How well it prevents rust, I don't know. It'll actually certainly take some time to figure that out. But potentially sometime in the future, I'll do another follow-up video and see how well it's kept this pistol, who sits in the nice and humid garage, from rusting up. But anyway, a lot of fun. I guess a shout out to Professor Pew. Thank you so much for sending me this free bottle of cleaner. It seems to work great. And for all of you out there, I hope you're getting to do shooting and having fun enough that will require you to use some cleaners. And whatever you're doing, make sure to have fun, stay safe, and I will see you in the next video.